But for me, I don't care one way or the other. As long as it's giving me clear video and the diversity is working correctly, that's all I care about.
G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we get together, we talk about some new, different, or just exciting technology in the FPV drone racing world. Now today, I think I just swallowed a bug. Now today, what we're going to be checking out, this is the new Laforge V4 from Laforge, and essentially what it is, it's a Fat Shark diversity module. You put in your FPV goggles and it offers some really, really cool features. And what we're going to be doing in this video, we're going to be sticking it on the bench, sort of breaking it down, having a bit of a quick squeeze at some of its features. Then we're going to take it out to the field, fly it around and find out, is this going to be the right diversity module for you? Is it sort of going to change what you do with FPV? How useful are you going to find it? We'll hand it over to Grumpy Trev, Crash Test Cal, show you some DVR so we can check out its reception and all that really cool stuff. Now, what I want to do too, because this Laforge V4, that's going to be replacing the module. This is like one of the real ACC ones I used to use a long time ago back when I flew Fat Sharks, but I'm not going to need this one anymore because I've got this one and it does perform pretty well. So I'm going to be giving this one away, so I'll put some links down below or something like that for you subscribers, but that's going to be, I'm just going to give it out over on Discord. So that's free to sign up to, all that sort of stuff, and that's just an easier place for me to run some giveaways, contact you directly instantly about giving some stuff away over on Discord. So definitely, if you're into that, you want to win like one of these knockoff sort of versions, go check out the Discord, the link will be down below. But we're going to be checking out the new Laforge V4. There'll be a link down below for this as well. Let's stick it on the bench and kick it off. Alright, let's do it. Rightio, so here it is on the bench. This is the Laforge V4 diversity system. We've got the module over this side, the standard one over here, and what this essentially allows us to do, we can connect up two different types of antennas, and it's going to let the diversity system is going to pick whatever has the best reception, and that's really useful when you're flying around. You might want to get the best vision that you can, the best reception, that, you know, the least amount of breakup, and it does help our flying. These things have been really, really popular, and this is the new version of the V4. Now essentially they just clip in to your Fat Shark module bays like that. I'm going to click this one in right here because this one, let me tell you, that was an absolute nightmare to get in. That was so frustrating and no joke, that took maybe 40 minutes to try to get in there. What I had to end up doing was I had to unscrew my goggles, sort of click it apart, and then that's the way it would fit in. So for me, look, maybe I'm just uncoordinated when it comes to clicking in the diversity modules, but that took a long time for me. So they're probably saying, oh, it's super easy. For me, I had some troubles trying to click it in. But now that it is in there, it's in there very secure, nice and snug, and it does come with these two cases as well. Now what we should do, let's talk about the unit itself, some of the extra features for the Tech Tuesday, and essentially this thing can do some really cool stuff. One part I did like, if you wanted to, you could hook up an LED and you can actually control an LED and what it does on the front of your goggles. If you're so inclined, you want to bling it out or something like that. I did find the powering of it a little bit frustrating because look, it did have to be hooked up with a separate 5 volts, so that part was a little bit frustrating. I didn't bother to do that because look, it doesn't affect my flying at the end of the day, but it is a nice little touch. Now one thing you're going to notice straight off the bat that's very different to some of the other ones, it's got the 3 buttons on the side, which is much better than some of the rocker wheels that the cheaper ones used to have. And then you've got this big LED screen here as well, which makes it very easy to see exactly what you're doing. But this is what makes it even better, because in the past you had to take these off, find out what channel you're on, put the goggles back on, but right here, everything that comes up in this screen also comes up in your video display, and that is something that is really, really special. It is so useful, and you can use the buttons here as well, which is a massive plus, but it's so useful being able to just cycle the channel and on your goggle tell exactly, you know, you're on F4 or F2, 5760, whatever you're on. It is so easy to be able to do it without having to take the goggles off, look at the side of it, and then put them back on your face. Alrighty, now because that's such an important feature, what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this in and show you exactly what I'm talking about, because that's one of the stars of the show. So what we've got here, I'm going to hook it up to my SkyZone screen, which I've got over here, and trust me, the picture looks a lot better when you're actually looking at it in the goggles, but you guys can still see what I'm talking about. That's what you'd be seeing in your goggles. So when I cycle through, you know, what channel am I on, straight away it tells you right there, you know, how is your reception going. Now if we go into the menu, I believe, there we go, there's a whole bunch of different things to go through. That no signal, that's because of the screen, but we've got an RF analyzer, so if you want to see, oh, where'd I go? If you want to see how noisy it is, you can check that out, find out exactly where the spikes are, all that sort of stuff, so that part is really important. I might find that very useful at races. Another feature people might find useful is, if I can get back into the menu, one second, another feature we've got right here, this is the quad finder, and it's pretty much works by getting hotter or colder, hotter, colder, colder with some beeps, all that sort sort of stuff. So if you lose your quad and it's still plugged in, you can still go in that direction, and it's going to tell you if you're getting closer or further away. So that feature is going to be very, very useful as well. We go back into the menu. What else we got in here? We've got a Spectator Mode, which will automatically jump to the strongest signal as it comes past. And then I need to do this quicker so you guys can see. We've got our band scanner. We've got our favorite channels, which is really important if you're flying with the same people. And this is one part I really like as well as being able to select your channels and all that sort of stuff. You can actually put a custom frequency on here. So if you're flying in a country where, look, this might be legal in some places, and well, definitely not in a lot, but if you were flying on around like 5600, something like that, or you can go all the way up, and I think it's 59, I believe, all the way up to pretty much 6,000 as well. So look, if you did want to, and it was legal where you were flying, you have a massive range of channels and frequencies that you can work with. Now, of course, the important part, you know, it's showing up on here, but that's exactly what you're seeing on your goggles. So I'm just gonna unplug this right now. But that is my favorite part about the Laforge system. Everything in here, it shows up on the screen, which is what I wanna see because it makes it so much easier. You don't have to take them off to have a look and then put them back on the head. You can just press all the buttons and you're seeing it right then and there. Now that's it on the bench. That's the boring stuff out of the way. What we should do, let's cut out to the field and rip it around and find out, is the Laforge system going to be right for you? How does it go with its reception? What's it like when it's actually on your face and in the goggles? We'll hand it over to Grumpy Trev, Crash Test Cal, all that sort of stuff, and show you some DVR. So let's jump out to the field and rip it around in 3, 2, 1.
I was just saying this battery strap's too tight. Trev's saying my head's too big. Anyway, we're out here in the field. We're gonna rip it around with the new Laforge V4. I'll show you guys some DVR, and I guess I'm gonna have some comparisons and talk about how I feel with the reception here. I fly here a fair bit. I verse my on-ways. We'll hand over to Grumpy Trev. He's gonna do the same, and then over to CTC, because he actually flies Fat Shark, so he can compare it directly. What's in your goggles, Cal? What receiver do you use?
5808.
So you just some cheap receiver?
Yeah.
Too easy. So we'll do the comparison between these two and sort of get some impressions and find out about the Laforge V4s. All right, let's do it with some DVR.
Okie dokie, here we go, on board. Just a few things to note. Look, I might be sounding a little bit echoey, all that sort of stuff, because I am working on my audio, new mics, all that sort of stuff. I am trying to reduce that echo, so if I sound a little bit different, it's because we're trying some new things. And then onto the actual unit itself and the DVR that you're seeing, you're going to notice an A and a B line that won't usually be there in your normal FPV feed. Now look, you can turn this off. I left it on for this review because we're going to be looking at the reception, but that A and that B sort of bar, they tell you exactly what antenna is doing what, or what module is doing what in two goggles with your left side and your right side. And that can be really useful for some diagnostics to find out what antenna is doing what, where your reception is, and all that sort of stuff. Now, if we actually talk about the reception, flying around here, I found the dropouts when I guess first my on-ways felt about the same. You know, it didn't feel crazy different or anything like that. I still got some dropouts in some places, and I think right here we actually go a little bit further. And one part I will note, the recording actually was a bit better on this one versus my on-ways, because I know the on-ways would have been dropping a lot of frames there. With this module and recording on the DVR, I was pleasantly surprised, and it did handle it better than I guess the on-ways would. Now the big one for me is it worth it? Because look, this module, it is pretty pricey. It's definitely getting up there with some extra dollars, especially when you factor in how much the goggles cost in the first place to get some good Fat Sharks. And then on top of that, you've got to pay for an expensive module, and that really comes down to the racer. As far as flying goes, I wouldn't say it's going to give you too much of an advantage, but if you're going to races for, you know, this is for the racing pilot, if you're going to races where you need to sort of change your channel all the time, you want to scan the bands, get the best, most benefits for you, that's where that's where this is going to be coming into play. When you've got those features, you can make sure that, look, my band is clean, no one else is on here, I'm going to get good reception around my race, and you don't want to be taken out for some bad video, because if you don't have good video, you can't fly. Now, probably the one other thing I really liked about this one was the quad finder mode. So if you lose it, you can actually use this to locate your quads. I can see that being really beneficial with some long distance sort of stuff. So you're sort of trying to track it down, and I guess it might be worth paying that extra money if that means you get your quad back. So if you're flying in some risque locations, you know, and this helps you get it back, well, then I guess it's sort of already paid for itself. Anyway, that were just my impressions. What we should do now, I think it's going to be interesting to hand over to Grumpy Trev, see what he thinks, because he's on the on-ways like me, but then also over to Cal, because he uses Fat Sharks. He uses a different module when he's flying around, so it's going to be very interesting to see what he thinks as well, and if he can notice any notable differences.
Rightio, so first and foremost, it feels so weird flying. I probably got some big marks in my face, but it does feel very weird flying with these coming from my on-ways. In terms of the reception, I found it probably about the same. I didn't notice any huge improvements or anything like that. And my favorite thing definitely is how easy the menu is to navigate, all that sort of stuff, and especially how you can use the buttons on the top of the Fat Shark. So I definitely think it does, Cal's ripping around, it does have something going with it. Hey, you can put your own module in, all that sort of stuff, but I'm still very happy with my on-ways. I don't think that if you've got on-ways, you don't need to make the switch, buy a pair of Fat Sharks just to get this module. And one thing that was a little bit interesting, I did have like the diversity section set up so I could see exactly when antenna A and antenna B were working. That was working really well. It was a little bit distracting, so I wouldn't have that on all the time, but if you were doing some testing and you wanted to find out when your antennas were working, that would definitely come in handy. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, what we should do, let's have a Grumpy Trev crash test Cal and see what they think about the Laforge V4. All right, Cal, putting on your grandpa glasses. We got the Laforge V4. So this is going to be interesting to find out how it goes in comparison to your goggles. So we've got two Fat Sharks here. These are the V3s, my V3s, your V2s. But what have you got in yours? I'm just going to have a quick squiz. What one's that?
That's the RX5805.
Do you have any issues with that or anything like that? Anything you don't like, things you do like?
Just changing the channels, having to use this little, I don't know what you call it, this dial.
Rocker switch.
A rocker. It's, if I could change the channels up here and see them on the on-screen display, that'd be a lot better. But I understand
that's exactly what we're talking about.
That's what they're offering.
Exactly what happens. So if you plug that in and put it on, you should be able to see the menu, or you can also see the menu that pops up in the little OSD on the side. So if you plug it in and have a squiz.
Seeing the channel, so I'm seeing F7 and the frequency.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it is.
I might have to change bands. Just hold. Okay. I'll do it for you. Hold one of these bad boys down. Okay. Goes through them quick.
There's F, R, A, B, E.
There we go. So now you should be able to cycle through and get your channel.
Okay.
E1?
E1.
Are you sure you're E1?
Yeah.
Mate, I never knew that. Okay.
E1 or E2?
I'm pretty sure you're E2, mate.
What's plugged in?
Nothing. I don't know. Aren't you going to fly one of your quads? Mate, nothing but amateurs here.
I'm getting a slight image. Nothing's plugged in.
Maybe I didn't unplug my quad. You're getting a picture.
I was. Slight. Just very slight. It's not really a picture, but...
Have you unplugged your quad?
That's a good
What's
question.
that right behind you? That's what's beeping, mate.
Oh, fancy that, Cal.
Edit that out.
You get the image. Wonder who that was.
Someone's not plugged in. Someone's plugged in.
What idiot did that?
We won't tell anybody, Cal.
Alright. So we're going to fire up a quad and give it a go?
Yeah, mate, we're flying up your quad. You're flying around.
Oh, now you tell me. I've got no batteries hooked up.
What do you want to fly?
Let's go with the XJB. Alright, here we go.
So when you're normally flying around, do you get many dropouts here on your other goggles?
No, not really.
I can see some crazy stuff going on with the two antenna diversity. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera, but
it is. It's coming up on the OSD. Is that you can obviously get rid of that. Flying all the way down to the end of the park without a problem.
Would you normally run into a problem though versus your cheaper module?
I can get down to the end of the park with the cheaper module, but I think this is doing it a little bit better. It's good clarity. You know, I don't know really much more to say without exploring all the little features, which I don't really care for, all the minutiae that comes with some of these things.
So there is quite a lot of things you can do. There's like a whole bunch of different settings. You can do like a spectrum analyzer, a whole bunch of stuff. But I think what people want to know, are you getting an advantage in your normal everyday FPV flying when you're flying this thing around?
Well, it depends what your normal everyday FPV flying. If you're someone that's a club racer, racing with a lot of people, I can see where this would be an advantage with all the little features that it has. I know guys like Joshua Bardwell are really hell-bent on having those features, but for me, I don't care one way or the other. As long as it's giving me clear video and the diversity is working correctly, that's all I care about. Okay, for our style of flying, you know, we're not flying in big groups, so you know those little things aren't that important. As long as they work well, which mine do, and I haven't even messed with the firmware with my RX 5808s at all, and I have no need to. So I've been very happy with those, but I can say that these are performing every bit as well as those, as you would expect, and perhaps marginally better too.
So you think in terms of just the things you care about, which is video reception, you think it's a little bit better with these versions?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
What about the price though, I guess? Do you think it's worth it when you're paying that much more? Because they're sort of getting up there, you know, 100 US bucks, around that sort of price. Would you recommend them?
You know, when you're talking 60, 70, 80% more for something that doesn't give you 80% more performance, that's for sure. So no, look, I would rather the cheaper generics, the RX 5808s, just because of the price. You know, you're not seeing that much of a performance increase with these. Not for an extra 70 bucks, I don't think. Unless you're a serious racer, then I can see the value in it. But for someone who's just likes to fly with your friends and get out with just a few people, or just backyard flying or whatever, I wouldn't say waste your money, but I would probably look at something a little cheaper, because this is probably overdoing it for what you're using it for.
I guess we should probably sum it up. What's 4 words to sum up the Laforge V4?
Wait for the clear view.
Wait for the, okay. No worries. Alright, thanks Cal. Alright Trevor, we're about to fly around with full Laforge V4s. You've got your on-ways, so this is going to be sort of an interesting comparison between the features of this versus the features of that, because look, I'm just going to tell you straight off the bat, this Laforge system does do some things like spectrum analyzer, a whole bunch of stuff that you don't normally get on a pair of on-ways. So plug it in and tell us what's happening.
Can't find the hole, needs a bit of hair around it.
No. There you go. God, it's a wonder how you had kids.
Wonder why I couldn't see. They had to come up over the bloody... I thought I was going blind. Okay, so where's our channel changer? Oh, look at that. That's nice. I love that. I got my channel. Geez, these are uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't find them as comfy either.
What's that little flashing red little box there?
That's I've got the diversity on, so we can find out when the antennas are switching and all that sort of stuff.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So we're in the other on-ways, so they're a bit uncomfortable. The picture's good. Gee, it's a big picture compared to the on-ways. Oh, gee, so different to fly, ain't it? Gee, I don't miss my fat sharks at all.
Yeah? You're not a fan of the fat sharks?
No. These are crap, aren't they?
It's kind of, we're talking about the goggles there. It's a little bit weird to fly around with the goggles, you know, when we're changing them.
Weird.
But we're trying to talk about the module, Trev.
Okay, the modules. That thing on the screen's giving me the already. Yes, I'm...
Are you getting any dropout or anything like that?
Just a little, but nothing that's not flyable. Comparable with the... I'm doing the track, so it's very comparable with the on-ways.
Yep. I want to know, would you say it's better or worse, or pretty much the same?
Same.
First reception.
I don't think it's any different, to be honest. It does feel the same to me. What are these things worth?
About $100.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
And it's got the...
So if you factor that in on a pair of fat sharks anyway, it sort of does start to add up, I think.
Yeah, look, I certainly wouldn't have them over on-ways because they come with it. Fat sharks should be cheaper and should have this sort of by now. I love the way that big picture of the channel on the screen. That's a great idea. That's a real plus for them. Yeah, well, it found my channel real quick. I was quite impressed with that. That was a lot easier than the on-ways, I must admit. I don't know whether I'd be spending $100 on them though, compared with what else is around there.
Alright, I guess in terms of performance and what it does, give this a grumpy Trev rating out of 10 for a little module.
Look, performance, it's up there, it works. So it's a 10 out of 10 for performance, absolutely. It works rather well.
And what about for value?
Value, I'd look probably a 7.
Okay.
I think you're only going to buy these things if you've got plenty of money.
Yep.
If you're new into it, you don't need them. There's plenty of other stuff out there that's cheaper, and you buy yourself some extra batteries with the change.
Alrighty, nice, thanks Trev.
Alrighty, so there it is. There's my Tech Tuesday quick look at the Laforge V4, and overall, look, it is a really good module. I love the features that it's got on there. I don't, not too sure about the LEDs across the front. I think that could be implemented a little bit better, but that's sort of like a little flashy extra. That's not going to be the main draw of this Laforge V4. It does what it does really well. I find the reception versus some of the others, and Cal liked the reception, thought it was a little bit better as well. Versus my on-ways, I guess I didn't notice too much of a difference. But the one thing you've got to consider is the price range. So when you buy a pair of Fat Sharks and you buy like a legit Laforge V4, it definitely is expensive, you know, versus some of the other options out there. So, you know, you need to weigh that up, you know, and I'd say it's really aimed at those people who go to races a lot and they're always changing their channel. It's nice. I love the feature how you can see it on the screen, that big display. That is absolutely fantastic when you're scanning through. And if you're that sort of person who's tinkering around, changing channels, going to a lot of races, finding out, you know, where the good reception is, all that sort of stuff, and that's important in your FPV feed, well, this is definitely one of the best out there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Drop your comments down below. Remember, I'm going to be giving this away to you subscribers, so go check out the Discord for those people if you want to win this one that I've been using for a fair while, but I'm going to be upgrading it to the Laforge V4 because look, I did think this performed better when I flew my Fat Sharks than this one from memory. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content. I can wave my arms around quite a lot in here, and as always, happy flying. Trevor's got a nickname. Trevor keeps calling me Flapper because he reckons I wave my arms around too much. What do you guys think? Anyway, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.